morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Friday morning where we are more reckless than usual. A third of the recklessness is not here in Anand, but Kazi is in the house. What's happening?
Yes, I'm here to make up for Anand's recklessness. Is that a word? I don't know. But more reckless than usual. But yes, no, mate, I'm good. Excited. The Red's a boss, and that's all that matters, really, you know?
Yes, big weekend. We kind of knew that this period between the two international breaks was going to be pretty big. A lot of big fixtures in between.
Yep.
So far, so good, right? Big game coming up this weekend, and now kind of like the narrative has totally changed, right? Like what we thought this game's narrative would be, I don't know, during the international break is nothing like it is now. Like their injuries, the loss to Bournemouth they had, so the point difference has made it so that a lot of, I don't know if you've seen a lot of the Arsenal fans either playing it really down, right? They're like, even if you lose, like Alan on the panel show was like, even if you lose, I don't think the season is over. I was like, dude, I got news for you. Season is over. If you're 7 points behind, I know it's only October, but you're halfway there to being over. Yeah. Or they're like, oh, we can still beat Liverpool, doesn't matter, next man up kind of thing. But then putting in parentheses, despite having a lot of players injured, so that after the game they can be like, well, what do you expect?
We have a saying in Liverpool. It's called crying it in. And what crying it in means is you're just whinging and moaning and making excuses like, oh, I need this so much. You're crying it in. Stop crying it in.
Okay. I had not heard of that. That's good.
Yeah, stop crying it in. Right?
Is that considered Scouse or is that considered like a...
Yeah, it's definitely Northern England.
Okay.
And that's where I'm from, Liverpool as well. We say that a lot. And they're just crying it in, basically. And I would think about this with the injuries, and everyone's going poor old Arsenal. Did you remember Liverpool's injuries last year? Do you remember Liverpool's
injuries? That's the thing. These are the guys that I was telling AJ about this yesterday when we had Fabinho and Henderson playing center back. They were out of the game. Now it's like, oh my God.
Exactly. Everyone forgets last year Liverpool finished on over 80 points, win the League Cup, and we had Diaz out for a long period, Trent, Mo Salah, all out for a long period of the season. Matip out for the whole season, as Matip was one of our best centre-halves up until he got injured. Robertson done his shoulder on international duty, a shoulder injury of all things to happen. We had players like Bobby Clark and James McConnell and Dan's getting minutes, and these lads aren't even at the club anymore, really. So I do find it interesting that, oh my God, we have 4 injuries. Yeah. Okay. We got told for years that this is a part of the, this is a part. That's what you got to do. You've still got to just.
That's why you build a squad.
That's why you have a squad. But we've always said this with the Arsenal team, and I've always thought this. I don't know about yourself. They have a tremendous 11, but I never used to think the 18 was brilliant. I used to think the drop off from the 11 was kind of large, and I do think that now. The rumour is, of course, Saka has had a little bit of training. What did you do here, Tim? I want to ask you a question. So, Calafiori gets brought off, but he's meant to be doing some very small, light stuff. Timber's the same, very light stuff, but not in team training. Saka's the same, not in team training. Do you risk them? Do you risk him to win this game? Because let's get it right. If you've got Saliba out, so let's look at the defence first. You've got Saliba out, Calafiori out, and Timber out. So they're probably going to do Gabriel, Kiawa, Zinchenko maybe, and then some other one. So I'm delicious. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? No, but you're at a stage though, fella, where what do you do, Tim? Knowing that if you lose this game, you're 7 points down. Do you know what I mean? Behind someone.
I think you tried. Knowing him, knowing Arteta, because he tried to do this last year against City, right? Even when City was down and they could have kicked them, they played for a draw, which came to bite them in the ass afterwards. They were okay with a draw. They didn't play for a draw necessarily, but they were more than okay. They lined up and their tactics were okay with the draw. I think he kind of goes out like this and hopes for the best. They sit back and defend and defend and defend. And then he will go for it at the end. It's going to be like a typical game like that. Because I don't think he throws everybody out there and risks having to sub them out early. Like I wouldn't if I was him. And I don't think he does that either because, that's going to hurt him down the road. If something happens and he's out for another 2 months or something like that, that's going to hurt him down the road. So you kind of have to still do the long-term planning deal. But
So
if they go 1-0, and that's why I think this game, if we take the lead, it would totally change everything. Where they will have to come out, and I feel like if we get an early goal, we can make this an easy game because they will have to come out, which should help us score even more.
Yeah, and I agree with all that. I think for me, don't mate, if I look and think it's hard to risk a centre half because if your centre half can only play 70, it could do you more damage taking them off with 20 to go and bringing on a whole new defence. I think I can do you more damage than good. Do you know what I mean? Because Liverpool might go, well, I can't see Calafiori or Timber doing a full 90. If it's 0-0 on 70 or 1-1 on 70, then go on, then make your subs.
Yeah.
Bring on Zinchenko. You know what I mean? Oh, by the way, if you bring on Zinchenko, we'll bring on Diaz. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
And we'll, or, you know what I mean? Or vice versa, and we can have it, you know. So it's hard with the defence. I think with Saka, this thing of injuring him down the road, but you could be out the title race after this game. That's my point. It's not like if they go 7 points behind, they have to go to Liverpool and win. I would argue. Which even in March,
they have to beat City, they have to beat Liverpool. I mean, I don't know. To me, if we were 7 points behind,
I'd say it's over.
Yeah,
I'd say it's over. But I also think it could be a weird season where the league could be won on 86 points. So I actually think it could be a bit of a weird season in that sense. I don't think you might.
But that's also saying that no team is not going to go on a ridiculous run, and that would include yourself to be able to catch up 7 points. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's so tough, mate. I think if you're Arteta, I think it's his first real big problem he's had in 3 years with his side and his squad, because I think they have been fully fit, and I think Saliba and Gabriel played nearly every Premier League game last year, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be interesting, fella. And I feel like he might risk one, and I think it might be Calafiori. I don't think he'll want to do Kiwior, and I
mean, he subbed them out. Like he's Kiwior. They subbed him in for, and once Saliba came out, and then he was subbed out because he basically caused the second goal and stuff. So I don't think, I think it is a hamstring, right?
It is,
and. Basically, if something happens, you're saying we're not going to see him until after the international break again. But the next November one, which ends, I think, mid-November or something.
And I get what everyone's saying here about the hamstrings, and it's tricky, and you might not risk him, but you're also risking giving up your title in October. Like, there is that conversation to have that this could be over by October at 7 points clear. Do you know what I mean? It feels like if the Premier League's won on 97 points, I would say it's over. Or 94 points, it's over. If it's 1 and 86, I say they're still in it. But they have to come to Anfield and win. I don't think it's the ground they've won at in 12 years, 15 years.
They would have to go on a City-like run where they win 12, 14 in a row and stuff like that. I just don't see that from this team even before.
Same. I think you've nailed it as well. I think there's a part as well. They go to Newcastle away next week.
Dude, they go to Newcastle and then they go to Chelsea, I think.
Yeah, then Chelsea, and then and by the way, they play Forest at home, and Forest are beating everyone away from home because how they set up. Forest are great, we know that, away from home. Forest have a chance to go 5th today. They have a chance to go 5th in the league.
That's crazy, by the way.
Like, do you know what I mean? That's how good of a start they've made. So they have a really interesting. I think they have Inter Milan away thrown in there as well, and in the middle of all that, they have Inter Milan away. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting, man. I think he risks Saka. For the last 20, I think he might do Saka for the last 20.
I mean, you think when it's 0-0, he's throwing him out because a draw keeps him 4 with us, and even if City wins, but it would be 5 or whatever, right? So it still, keeps them inside the circle, kind of a deal. So I don't think if it's 70th minute, if it's 0-0, I don't think he's pushing for the win.
No, you're probably right. But I would also say as well, in Arsenal's case, if they draw the game, they played 9 games and dropped points out of 4 in 4 games. It's not good. It's not title winning. Do you know what I mean?
It's not title winning, exactly.
And that's his killer, really. I don't know, man. I find this game. I'm up late with this game. I really am thinking about this game a lot. Thinking what does he do? I think his head's fell off. I really do think his head will fall off. He's had that thing with playing Liverpool anyway. Don't forget, Liverpool went there in January last year, beating 2-0 in the FA Cup. When Liverpool basically started. It was kind of like a mixed change. Because I remember Bobby Clark did that foul and took that yellow card.
Yeah, came. Yeah,
I celebrated that more than a goal. I was so happy that a kid had the nous to go, nope, bang, come here. You know what I mean? I saw it's.
I remember that too. That's funny. Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Certain memories, but I don't know, man. I think his head will fall off. I just think he likes organisation. He likes I think he likes predictability in what he's going to get out of his team. And I think right now he doesn't know what he's getting.
Yeah, I mean, do you think though? I guess this is my only worry for this is the more injuries they pile up, almost.
Cool.
Partially, it becomes like a call for everybody. It's almost like when you go down to 10 men, which they're fucking used to. But like you go down to 10 men, like everybody goes like a bit more 10%, knowing they're 10 men. Do you think they kind of like basically like a rally call, whatever you want to call it, like where all these injuries are like, hey, we really got to get together. It almost becomes like a motivation for them.
Most definitely. Yeah.
But does that motivation offsets the quality on the pitch?
No, because Liverpool found that out last year. That eventually quality tells. And, we have all the injuries you like, and it will carry you so far. You can ride the crest of a wave, but eventually quality tells. And you will get beaten football matches. And I think when you're playing against the Liverpools, for example, quality might tell if you're playing Fulham. But I don't think when you're playing Liverpool, that it will tell. You know what I mean? We'll get to Liverpool in a minute, by the way, guys. I know this is a Liverpool podcast, but I just find Arsenal so interesting, and I know we're playing them. So, but I also look at this as well, mate. Arsenal could be 6th or 7th in the league after this weekend. People forget that. Villa at home to Bournemouth. I expect Villa to win. We're on the same points as Arsenal, by the way. So I expect Villa to win. And I think Brighton are home to Wolves. Brighton playing Wolves. Brighton can go on 18 points. Villa go on 20, but they go fucking 6th in the league. Like, after 9 games. Like, people look... look, you're just realising that now. And then you go, the 6th... Like, can Arteta physically in his head... Because I think he has that Guardiola thing of, like, he can't cope with not being... right or where he should be and all his like little tactics and that. Can his team cope with being 6th in the league? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I just think he might just take more chances than you think in this game in terms of his injuries.
I mean, he might know. Salim says is Odegaard the real reason that Arsenal isn't playing well. I think it's the reason that they find it harder to open teams up.
Score goals, definitely.
Yeah. That team last year was like going out there like scoring for fun for a while. I think without Odegaard there, they're like, okay, what are we supposed to do, kind of a thing. And really, they don't have. If you look at the front lines of teams, you look at us up top, right? And then City have Haaland. That's good enough, pretty much. And they play a different game anyway and stuff. But they're the third when you look at attacking force. In terms of, like a striker's that scary kind of thing. Because, I mean, Jesus can be, with his whiny face, make an impact and stuff here and there. But he's not going to take you down by himself.
No.
Like a Mo might or like a Haaland might and stuff like that. That is going to stop that moment.
Saka could.
Saka could, yes.
But is Saka fit? That's the question, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, if Liverpool get the team sheet, if Andy Robertson gets the team sheet and goes, fuck me, he's not playing, that's good. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll add Sterling, who's not going to cut in on his left foot. I'll mark Sterling just going down that side and try, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll just run along with you. We'll just go to the corner flag together.
And I'll back myself being a powerful runner to catch you and get a block in. And I think Robertson could look really good against Sterling. But I think Saka, I agree with you there. I think Saka can. But there's probably a part of me when you're saying they're third. I know this might be brave to say, but they could be 4th behind Villa.
Oh, yeah. I was just comparing, like, I would think City and them. But here's another thing. Like, Arteta knows how toxic Arsenal fandom can be. I mean, what you're saying, if what you're saying happens, these guys early last year was saying Arteta out and stuff. Don't forget.
Weird,
So if something like that happens, they lose 7 points behind and the team is 5th or whatever, they can blow up and they know they can kind of like derail. They're like their worst enemy at times. So you can see them kind of collapse all the way. And that's another reason, if you're trying to make a case of why you would go and risk people, that could be a reason, because it's a team that's not already comfortable in its own skin. It's not like a team that's been there, done. Like City goes down 7 points. They're like, hey, you know what? We've done this before. We'll be up there. Don't you worry about it. And the players don't panic. The fans don't panic. whoever fans they have. But you know what I mean? Like the players don't panic. Whereas with Arsenal, they're like, oh, there's no way we're catching it now. We were barely keeping up with people last year.
There's an argument here, mate. And again, I think with this Arsenal side, and we know they're a good side, I don't think they're as good as what people say, but that's just my opinion. I do think, though, they haven't won anything. And it does take experience. I think if you're Guardiola, who'd rather have a title race with Arsenal, Liverpool, you go Arsenal all day. Because I think you know what I mean? I think he'll go, yeah. I just can't be arsed with the experience of Liverpool in games. Do you know what I mean? Like Liverpool could just, for example, Liverpool played City last year at Anfield and absolutely battered them and should win the game.
Yes.
I just don't think he could be arsed in a title race with Liverpool again because Liverpool would win that game in that weird way. But I think he'll go to the... Remember a couple of years ago when they were in this big boss title race, then City went to the Emirates and just beat them 4-1. And there you go. And just put them back in the place.
Like, we were hoping, and yeah, I remember.
And then City just went bang, bang, bang. I think they scored 3 in the last 20 and just went, like, thank you very much. This has been fun. You know what I mean? And there's that kind of argument. I think they went there. Remember when Rodri scored the last minute winner there? A couple of years, like 3 years ago, I think. So here's a team that hasn't won anything. And I think you have to rely on experience as well, a little bit. And this Liverpool team is full of experience and full of players who've won things. And I also think as well, they're getting to a level now where, Virgil's probably back to his best, I'd argue. You know what I mean? I think Salah, of course, is still Mo Salah. Darwin Núñez has been brilliant for the last 2 games. Diaz looks like he's getting back to that first 6 months when he comes to Liverpool form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The midfield looks rejuvenated and Trent looks really good defensively. You know what I mean? I don't think there's any knock on Trent there defensively. So, yeah, I just think I think you'd rather go with Arteta just because they haven't won anything. I think Arsenal could really do a win in the FA Cup. This team. I know Arteta's won it before anyone says. I know he's won it. But it wasn't this team. That was Lacazette, Aubameyang and the rest of those bums.
Yeah.
In his old team. And this is the new team. And this team could really do a win in a trophy.
You'll just go around like Ten Hag. You'll be like, I'm winning trophies. I'm just like Mourinho.
But yeah.
I said my head just dropped off because he complimented Darwin. Yeah, I mean, he's been... And he has to be with no Jota out there, but I think he's been this even last game. I thought he was pretty decent. Okay, let's come to us then.
Yes,
how do we approach it? Because in some ways, normally, right, like 10 days ago, when you look at this fixture, you'd be like, a draw at Emirates is not the end of the world. It's not a bad result. Kind of like, like when we talked about like going to Old Trafford and stuff back in the day. We were like, it's not nothing to be ashamed of coming back with 1 point from Emirates against Arsenal. Do you think that totally changes now because of the situation where like you need to go for a win and kind of maybe risk more because you can win? You got them by the ropes.
I think Liverpool might shake hands on the 80 if it's a draw. I think Liverpool could shake hands. You know what I mean? Okay. I think if Liverpool go, we get 4 off Arsenal and 4 off City, we'll see where we're at the end.
Yeah. And
I think that could be a thing for Liverpool. So difficult this, mate, because there's also a part where if you're Mo Salah and you go, Zinchenko's marking me, and I've had him on toast a few games. Absolute toast. He didn't last year. People forget the game last year at Anfield when Mo Salah scores that unbelievable goal and he just ruined. I think it was Zinchenko played left back and he just absolutely ruined him.
Yes.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And Liverpool should have a clear-cut penalty. Liverpool should have won that day when Odegaard handballed it.
Odegaard handball. Yep.
You know what I mean? So I do think if you're Liverpool, you might shake hands on 80. There's also a part though where you probably know, fuck me, you can get this to a 2-horse race, and I can back again. You can play against City, a team who's only kept 1 clean sheet in the Premier League all season. The City side. Do you know what I mean? So I do feel like there's a part where I had to think about this game, Tim, yesterday, right? I had a big thing. And last year, Liverpool was just so unlucky in these big games. So if you look at the games that, for example, we played City at home, we battered them. Diaz should score 3. Liverpool should win the game comfortably. You play Arsenal, you should beat Arsenal because you have the clear-cut penalty and stuff like that. And there's certain moments, and again, even the City, if back to that City game, and that's when Doku kicks.
Yeah, I mean, there should be a last-minute penalty to win it.
Should be a penalty as well, but everyone forgets that because of Diaz's missed chances. Liverpool get a really good point away from home against City. Trent scores, doesn't he? Get a really hard 4 point, which felt big at the time. And I do feel like sometimes opportunity knocks in seasons, and chances don't come up like this often when you're playing against a big rival with 4 or 5 players who are potentially injured or out. It doesn't happen often in the Premier League where we're playing a direct rival and they've lost their best players. Do you know what I mean? Where you can just go and think, well, we won there last year. If your players, that's where the experience comes in the FA Cup, albeit. But we win there last year, get a clean sheet there last year. I just feel like you have to probably beat them, don't you?
It almost feels like this is what I was talking about earlier about like Arsenal City game last year, where I think there was still like 8 or 10 weeks to go or whatever, and City like were missing people. Arsenal was on a roll, and they were like more like favorites to win it. But Arsenal still played for a draw because the draw was not a bad result. Instead of kind of like while they're having them, but then you don't want to risk it. I guess the thing I have with Slot is even when we are aggressive, it's still going to be a controlled aggressive where we're not going to leave ourselves too open. We're going to still play within control. Yeah. And that's why I feel a bit more comfortable saying go for the win, knowing that going still involves being like kind of like situated in the back and not letting like somebody like run away. Let me read you this. This is before. I love when he does this, by the way. He was asked about this game being a statement for Liverpool. He said something like, nobody knows in this early stage who's going to be your competitor or your biggest competitor, but I think we all know that Arsenal will be one of them, and then dropping points against them or winning points against them, that is always important. So you're right. I think it was 3 draws and 1 loss against Arsenal and City last season. So if you use simple mathematics, if Liverpool could have won all 3 of them, I think the league table would have been a bit different. It's difficult to win in a way like against City, Arsenal, and all the other ones, but it's something we're trying on Sunday, definitely. Yeah. And I like one, by the way, where he kind of like, he's always talks about, like they did so good last year and Klopp left this team and stuff. But occasionally he does these things where it's just like, it wasn't all that perfect, though, was it? It's kind of a thing. Like he just like throws the darts in there. And he is right. And that tells me he is playing for the win. I mean, obviously he's not going to say we're playing for the draw, but he will line up not too safe, if you will.
Oh no, I think he will definitely go and try and win the game. But going back to Slot's point there, as we just discussed, Liverpool should have won 2 out of 3 of those games as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Arsenal at home, City at home. So there is that. I think I've been so impressed with Darwin the last 2 games. And again, we have this conversation all the time. Whatever I think about them personally, but if someone plays well, you compliment and you give them their flowers. And Darwin Núñez has been brilliant. I thought against Chelsea, it was the most Roberto Firmino performance I've seen from a striker. He didn't take a shot. He didn't take a shot. Like, he just worked hard, won the ball back, played really good, strong, defensively really good, by the way, on a couple of set pieces. He won a couple of big headers, I thought. And I thought, you know what I mean? And
he was doing hold-up play. He was doing, like, diagonal, like, pinpoint passes. We're talking about it with Mateusz Monday morning. I mean, he was everything you want.
That foul in the last minute, right, which they give us a foul. When Arne Slot's like this on the floor, he's absolutely bodied them. Didn't deserve that at all. He's won the ball brilliantly. And I understand this. And by the way, he could have lost his head. The one blemish, of course, is how we got his yellow. It's absolutely pathetic. But I'm not going to, just dig on the negative. He's been brilliant. And we need that from him on the weekend. We need that. I need that going every single fucking football match. I need you. That. If you give me that, you start every game for Liverpool. Just do that. Like, I'm not asking you to score 40 goals. We had a number 9. He didn't score fucking 20, 30, 40 goals every single season. But we knew how important he was to the team. And it's just, that's what we want.
Most of us did. Let's go that way.
That's what we want, though, innit? That's what we want, though, Tim, innit? We need that. Jota's out. By the way, Jota's bang unlucky. So these people who are going, he's always injury prone. He has a big fucking 6'12" man fall on his ribs and bruises his ribs. What can you do?
Yeah.
It's not a muscle strain. It's not a hamstring. It's just got bruised ribs because, from a clear-cut foul, by the way. So I just feel like we need that, Darwin, please, man. I want you to kick on now. You've had a good goal there midweek. You've won Liverpool the game midweek. It's a good goal because I think every striker should tap that in, by the way. Yes. I do think it's going in, but every striker should finish that off. I mean,
but to be fair, the second it was happening, I was like, fuck, I hope he wasn't off.
No.
That was my first thing. I was like, I hope he wasn't off because, I mean, here's the thing. He was not off, obviously. He was onside. And he was, so that's a lot of that's what made it even more impressive. That was very poacher-like, where he actually makes that darts to the back post and the defense does not.
And again, he makes this, I think he's learned now because he's been off the team so much. I think he's learned that to play in the system or to play for Liverpool, you need to be at a certain level. He's bang unlucky. It's such a clear-cut penalty that he should win against Leipzig. Yeah. By the way, I know Leipzig was a while ago, but Liverpool were fantastic for 70 minutes, and anyone who says differently, please don't let it cloud your judgment. Liverpool were brilliant for 70. I think the last 20, they were really good. And they grew into, Liverpool should kill them. It's a bit like the Chelsea game in the first half. Liverpool should score 4. In the first half,
like they were playing like it was 2-0, 3-0, right? Like that. There was that comfort and maybe like too many passes sometimes. Things like that where it was just like really comfortable.
Yeah, a little complacent maybe. But there's also a part where, if you're used to playing like this, and Kelleher makes a couple of good saves, and that's good for Kelleher, by the way, another clean sheet for him, and gets that confidence up as well. And he felt like he contributed. So, but going back to this game, fella, if we have that Darwin, I just don't see how we lose the game. Do you get what I mean? If he plays like
with
that,
their centre back situation,
exactly, and with their whole defensive situation, they like to do that little inverted role, usually with the right back with Ben White, or if it's Timber coming off the left hand side and do like that inverted Trent role sometimes and go to a back three. And I think Darwin could be winning the ball back quite a lot off that player, whoever that is this weekend. If it's Zinchenko coming in to make that, it's game over. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I just feel like if we get that Darwin fella, I don't see how Liverpool lose this game. I really don't. I think I've been so impressed with them last 2.
Ryan says we need 3 points from these big clubs when the getting is good, and the getting is good this Sunday. I mean, yeah, in terms of being able to catch him at a time, it is there for the taking. I think there's no like disagreeing that. The Prince is in the house, says looking at the table now, it looks like the opposite of those years where we didn't lose much but drew a ton, and draws have always been a killer. We'd rather go for the win for that reason, but okay. Which I agree. I mean, look, you got to go for the win. And I feel a lot more comfortable when I say Slot's going for the win, because we're going to put our best 11 out there and we're going to play our game. It's going to be the controlled one, but it's going to be to win. And you might be right. If it's the 80th minute, then we're like, let's call it a day kind of thing. And like, let's go back home kind of a deal. I can see that, but it's going to be a lot more controlled. It's not going to we're not going to press really high and leave us exposed in the back and stuff. Because one thing they can do well is sit back and not let anybody in. We saw that City game and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's why I expect them to kind of do that and hope they get something on the counter, because it feels like that's their best shot at it. But this is a game that you don't want to lose either. I'd rather have a draw. Like, I know in most games it's like just go for it, but I feel like that 3-point differential, you don't want that swing either way. Worst case should be a draw, so you keep the 4 points.
There's good draws and bad draws, isn't it? Yeah. There's good draws and bad draws. And I think that if Liverpool go out there, play well, get unlucky a little bit, you know what I mean? It's a 50-50 game and draw the game 1-1 or something like that. You go, okay, that kills Arsenal more than us, and let Arsenal go to Newcastle and see if they can win there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There is that argument as well. But I do think sometimes they're really good at set pieces, aren't they? Set pieces is their thing. Gabriel, they have this these weird set piece routines where they can just foul
where they shove the goalie around.
Yeah, they can just foul every single player, and it's the first thing that I would be saying to the referee as soon as I get off the coach. If you kept an eye on these, get an eye on this time wasting, because it's going to be one of those days. Yeah. It's the first thing if I'm the captain or when the captain goes into the referee's room before the game to shake hands, and I'll be looking at their captain going, you know what they're like, don't you? You know what the time wasting's like. You know what? Yeah, sound okay, cool. As long as you know, then we're good. And I'll be like, I'll be playing up to it. I'll be going, it's Sunday night, Super Sunday. You don't want to fucking mess about here, referee. Do you know what I mean? Let's not let them talk about you in the I'll be like that. Don't let Neville and Carragher get after you and Roy Keane. Don't let them. Because I'm sorry, I don't know. These referees are human and they wouldn't like that either. They don't want to be spoken about after the game. Do you know what I mean? But going back to it, they are very good at set pieces, and that's where I think, again, going back to the Darwin thing, he was very good defensively on set pieces against Chelsea. And we're going to need his size. We're going to need his strength and ability defensively as well. So I think Liverpool win, I think Liverpool win. And I'm surprised I'm saying that. Even with the injuries, I'm still surprised I'm saying that. But they keep surprising me, Liverpool, this season. They keep surprising me. They surprised me against Forest. So, you know what I mean? But they keep surprising me. As much as I was taking the piss in the Discord, Leipzig are playing well in their league and they are a decent enough outfit. Liverpool just went there and battered them for 70. Do you know what I mean? And I do feel like, that is impressive, It is impressive. Like, you can just go there and batter good teams.
I think, like Salim was saying in the post-match show, that it's probably the most, comfortable and dominant 1-0 win of all time. Because it didn't, you look at the scoreline, they're like, wow, they got away out of there, but it just did not feel like it even when watching it. Obviously, you know, I worry as a lifestyle, so when it's 1-0, I'm gonna worry. But it felt like overall, it just felt like we should have finished more. But then it's one of those games that you're like, just save it for the weekend.
He's been like, yeah, he's been like that for the last 2 games, hasn't it? I think, and the manager's mentioned that though in his press conference. You know what I mean? And he's mentioned that twice now in his post matches, where against Chelsea he said we should have scored more in the first half, and against Leipzig he said that we have to score more. We have to, when we're on top, you got to score when you're on top. It's the famous thing about football. So, do you think we win, Tim?
I think so. I have like a good feeling about it. I just worry about them coming. I think the first 10 minutes, you kind of like get them out of the game. You take control of the game, and then you kind of let your quality beat them. I mean, you're going to be able to throw your best 11 out there. I mean, you know, like Mac, Gravenberg, Szoboszlai, right? Yeah. And then it's probably going to go back to Diaz, who's going to be well rested now for the most part. Mo only played 60, and then you're going to throw Nunez out there. So I feel like, you know, and the back four is your ideal back four. Robertson comes back. I don't know. I mean, you're going out there with your ideal 11.
Yeah.
In form, confidence. So I don't see why not. The only thing would be, like I said, they're going to come out there with, let's go for it. You know, like, we can do it. Next man up, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody comes out that you freaking like punch him in the face, and then it's over. And that's why, like, a goal, once we score one, I'm going to be a lot more comfortable about this game, because I'm going to feel like even the fans, it's going to be, when it's 0-0, they're going to be like, we're still in it. We're still in it. Once they go behind, I almost feel like, and we know how Emirates can be, right? They can really turn on you. So I feel like they won't turn on them, but even their spirits will be crushed once we take a lead in that game. So the first goal is very important. Not only that, I don't want us to fall behind, because we know they can really sit well and stay compact.
Yeah. I mean, I'll snap your hand off for 70% possession in the first 20. Just kill the fans and just take the heart away a little bit. Like that, this happens to teams at Anfield, by the way, when teams come to Anfield. Liverpool have a big first 5, and then they'll just kill it. And that's what you've got to do in these kind of emotions. I do think there's a part where, if you're looking at Arsenal, do you need a good start? Probably. Do Arsenal take 0-0 on 70? Probably. And try and win the game off the bench? Maybe. With Martinelli or Saka, and try and win the game off the bench, because I've got a feeling he might just do Trossard, Havertz, and Sterling as his front three. The problem is they have a big midfield issue as well, don't they? Where that midfield didn't work against Bournemouth at all. When he just played 3 defensive midfielders and didn't trust. I can't believe they loaned Fabio Vieira, by the way. That would have been a great fucking sign, you know.
Right about now, right? Yep.
You know what I mean? I can't believe they loaned Fabio Vieira. I was impressed with him last year when he played. But I think Liverpool win. I think we probably win 2-0. I think. I can't see how, apart from set pieces, how they get around us. You might just think legs in midfield, because Liverpool's midfield is open. Liverpool's midfield isn't like as compact as I would like it to be. And I just might think legs.
Right? It feels like there's a lot more distance sometimes between the back and the front. Only, you know, I know what you mean there.
I think they try and cheat with Szoboszlai. So if you beat the press, Liverpool's Szoboszlai press on the front 4, there's like a 40-yard gap. But Liverpool like to do high risk, high reward, and I think they, in the front 4, do the high risk, high reward, and go, okay, we'll let you run your 40 yards, but then you've got to pick your right pass, and we'll have Gravenberch and McAllister there. I think Liverpool are doing that, where Liverpool used to play high risk, high reward with all 11 players, and go, you know what I mean? So I think there is a balance to it. So I do think there is that. And I think if they just go, we get legs with Partey, does he do Jorginho in the 6 and play Rice further forward? Probably. I think he'll go with. I think he's that stubborn. He knows that midfield never worked against Bournemouth, so he'll do it again to prove it will go work. Do you know what I mean? I think he's that stubborn. I think he's that type of manager to go, no, I'm going to fucking tell you it's going to work, and I'm going to do Jorginho, Rice, and Partey, and that could prove very difficult for Liverpool. But I still think Liverpool will win the game 2-0.
Sparky says 2-1. That's kind of what I'm going with, because I think they do get one on a set piece or something like that, and we go squeaky bum time the last like 5 minutes or something like that is what I'm guessing. But I mean, I'm hoping, man, if we play controlled. I still don't know about this team, man. It's like weird. I still don't have that confidence, despite the scores. You would think, you'd be confident. I still am not sure what we're going to get day in and day out, because I think there's a couple of players, the middle of the park especially, where like if they have a really off game, it can really screw things up, right? But then again, you have a guy like Szoboszlai. This is going to be let me make a prediction right here. This is going to be a huge Szoboszlai game.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully.
For the goods.
I don't rate him, fella, at all. I appreciate his work ethic. I understand what he's doing for the team. But I do think when he gets the ball, but people going like he's kind of like doing like the Wijnaldum thing of like being underappreciated. No, Wijnaldum had the ball, Wijnaldum found the pass. Like, Wijnaldum was very good at keeping the ball. Really good at keeping the ball. He was very good in tight space.
Wijnaldum was the king. I like you watched the game yesterday. I mean, the two guys I've seen who shield the ball better than any other player for like the decades I watched soccer are Wijnaldum and Tadic. It's just it's just vintage, like get the foul or get out of there, but not lose the ball when you're shielding it. Wijnaldum was the same way. You could have two guys hanging off of him and he would not give the ball up. I think that was the thing with Wijnaldum. He did not give away cheap possession, whereas Szoboszlai does.
And I don't think, but the comment that the manager made before Milan, which stuck with me, saying he needs more goals and assists out of him. He said that, which is interesting, I think, because it's like he's put it on him a little bit. And he did score against Milan away, by the way. Szoboszlai did score after that, but I don't think he scored since. And I do feel like we probably do need that out of him. He's a big fucking boy, He's he's a monster of a man. He's got all the ability in the world. His technical, I think his technical ability is brilliant. I think his running rate is brilliant. It's just when he gets the ball, I just think he's a bit silly with it, and he gives it away cheaply.
And he's been a bit more. I mean, do you think that's something that he was told, or do you think that's something like with his confidence that, for a while, to the point where it was getting frustrating, where he would just take some crazy shots and give away possession, and especially when we were trying to get a goal against a team that's defending, you just bought him another 30-45 seconds and a breather when you sky a shots that while we were kind of like had him under pressure. Now it's almost the complete opposite. There's too many times where you're like, dude, just take the shots, but then he makes one extra pass and then loses possession and stuff. Do you think that's something he's been told to keep possession, value the ball, or it's more like a confidence thing?
I think it's a bit of both, probably, mate. I think it's a bit of both. I think Liverpool are trying to be more patient in creating a better opening, an opportunity. I think we spoke about that at the start of the season, on the podcast here. And we kind of said, I think Liverpool will create 5 or 6 unbelievably good chances in games. And I think Liverpool do that. I do think we create, where you can look, for example, the Chelsea game, I think we create 4 or 5. Could have an extra penalty. Gakpo's unlucky with the offside. Salah to Gakpo, unlucky with the offside. Liverpool have a moment in games where you go, that was close. Well, was it close? Did Kelleher make a save against Chelsea?
Yeah.
No. Did he make a save? No. Was it good? So I always go back to something that sticks in me. We'll get to Szoboszlai in a second, but Liverpool after the Champions League final, Linders and Klopp sat down and we were looking at the best bits of the Spurs build-up when Webster was on the stage and stuff like that. And they were talking about the game, and he said, mentioned the half-time where he wants to change the tactics at half-time. And because he said we were going too long ball. It's a video, it's on the Liverpool website, you can see it. We were going too long ball. But then he looked at Virgil and Matip and went, no, we're sound, we're comfortable. They're like, are you sure? And they said to him, he asked them, are you sure? Like, they're offering nothing. Like, we'll go long, we'll isolate Mane and Salah on the wings to get at Trippier and whoever the left back would have been at the time, Ben Davies maybe.
Was it Royale or Davies? Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, and he went, we'll just isolate the, and he went, okay, if you are comfortable doing it, do it. And Klopp says this in this little thing, and it's always stuck with me going, managers do ask players, are you comfortable in games? And I think they'll probably look and go to Virgil at the end and to grab, do you feel like you were in a game there against Chelsea? Do you feel like they really got on? No. They had the ball and they played nice stuff in centre midfield. They didn't play nice stuff 40 yards out from the goal.
No, yeah, it was on their yards out. By the way, you brought that up. Let me ask you this real quick, because he said this, I think, in the post-match after the Leipzig game. We kind of all assumed that was kind of by design, that we let them have possession and stuff like that. And, the way we we were always okay with it, because how often do you have a team have more possession at Anfield, right? Mm-hmm. But the way he talked in the post-match after Leipzig, not after the Chelsea game, he didn't say anything after the Chelsea game, but he said after the Leipzig game that he would rather not have that. He would rather have the ball. We want the ball kind of a thing. So that was like odd to me because I thought in that Chelsea game, we kind of almost like let them do what you're talking about. You guys going to play nice stuff? Yeah, just do it over there. When we get the ball, we're going to actually do more effective stuff.
I think what he means there, though, is because Leipzig did create a couple of chances on the back of it. But with Chelsea aren't creating chances, if the team's not, if you want to pass the ball on the centre field and do your little 1-2s and Jones, whatever, Jones can't get the ball off you, no problem. That's fine. But Leipzig did create a couple of nice, good chances, really. And I think that's what he's concerned of. Like, if you're going to give them the possession, gents, don't let them have chances. Do you know what I mean? I think there's that argument as well. So I think there's a balance, and I think that's why he's probably mentioned that. But going back to the Szoboszlai thing, I do think it is like they're trying to be patient. They're trying to be patient, and then they are also. He has to understand sometimes when, lad, you're 25 yards out, you've got a fucking right foot like a bullet. Just let loose. Like, a corner's okay, but hit the target. That's my big thing with like people hitting shots from anywhere. Hit the fucking target then. I make the keeper do the save. Let the keepers just try and catch one, drop it, and go in his net. Like Forest.
Or, like get a deflection, get a corner kick out of it, force a save. Like force the goal to touch the ball.
I always go back to these big games that we used to play against City under Klopp, where I felt like Joel Matip deflected off him 4 times for City goals and cost us the league. Because you just take a shot from 25, 30 yards and Matip and just go in. And you were like, is Matip got a bet on you? You know what I mean? Like, what's so there's that thing of like, if you hit a good shot inside the frame of the goal, it can bounce off someone. It can have the keeper. The Forest, Liverpool nearly gets a point against Forest when that keeper drops one and nearly goes over the line. People forget that. And you're like, so Szoboszlai, man, I don't want to keep ragging on him, though, Tim, because I feel like I am ragging on him a bit. I do feel like he's lucky that Harvey Elliott's not fit. I do feel like he's lucky a little bit because there's not many who can play that role. Do you know what I mean? But I do think, and I agree with you, he has a massive game ahead of you. He has a really big game because I think if you let Rice and Jorginho dictate in that midfield a little bit and exposing the other two, I think Liverpool could have massive issues. He has to basically go and do like a Curtis Jones, what he did to Palmer job on their number 6. Do you know what I mean? Jones is, we can talk about Jones till the cows come home, how good he is. But he did man-mark Palmer out the game off the ball. Do you know what I mean? He did he done a job on Palmer. He run the ball really well when anytime the ball was around him, put pressure on him. And I do feel like Szoboszlai has to do that to their number 6, whoever it's going to be.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, I feel right now, like I get into these modes where I have to like defend the guy like over the top because I feel like the criticism is over the top. It was always like that with Hendo. It was like that with Bobby because he's not scoring goals, blah, 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 that we were talking about earlier. So I feel like people are kind of like on his ass way too much for like, he does a lot of things that like, oh, that's the only thing he did all day. Fuck you. I mean, come on, like watch the game. He's doing a lot of stuff.
I'm guilty of it. I am guilty of it.
You are like I mean, but if you just watch it, I mean, that was the thing with Bobby that I like, like if you watch just Bobby and what he does, and I feel like Szoboszlai is a different ordeal, but it reminds me a lot about Genie. And I think, I'm glad you kind of brought that up. The biggest difference is he gives away needless possession. But exactly. I think actually he's a lot more active and makes a lot more runs when we have the ball. Genie was more like, I mean, that system at the time was more like, we win the ball, we're the blue-collar gang, and then give it to the front three, and you guys do your thing. It's a lot different now. He just gives away too much needless possession at times. Yeah, but I do agree with you. The best thing going for him now is the fact that Harvey is injured.
Yeah,
I think that's like ready for the taking because seems like Jones is going to be more for that rotational role for the 2 in the back.
Maybe.
So that spot is basically Szoboszlai and Harvey. And man, yeah, Harvey would, I think, thrive with this. I just don't know if it would be physically as, I mean, like you said, he's a big boy. So he can shoulder people off. He can like make number 6 uncomfortable. Harvey's a little bit easier to shake off.
I want to try and give him a break because I think he's only 22 or something, or 23. I want to try and give him a break sometimes, but just don't give the ball away cheap. When you get it, I'm not asking you to fucking blaze one in from 30 yards every time you pick up the ball. I just want you to be clever, be smart with the ball in sense. And again, that's why no one can question Bobby's brain or Wijnaldum's brain when they had the ball. No one can. But he's got all the work rate. He's got all the attributes to be a fucking top class midfielder. But you can't get the ball away as needlessly as you do. You can't. You've got to give it to
because like you think like Wijnaldum, like that's the biggest comparison to me. Wijnaldum played the simple ball.
Correct.
Like, you know what I mean? He would be like take it, Mane, you're open. Here you go. Here's the winger. There's the ball.
Wijnaldum, I'll do a press for 60 yards. Win the ball back. Press someone for 60, win the ball back, and then get his breather. Simple pass, get your breath back. So Bosley wins the ball back, then goes, rah, and just goes insane. And you're like,
that's because that's like his initial style is like that guy attacking. So he's trying to work this defensive. Ryan says it took me my second viewing of the Chelsea game to see the defense Sobo did. Sabri, see, I don't think so. I feel like it's the opposite. He would rather go forward. He's trying to work this defense into his game because it's required of him. I don't think it was ever required for him to play this much off the ball. Like when he's playing for Hungary, when he was playing for Leipzig before, I don't think he was ever asked to defend this much.
Yeah, that's probably fair as well. But I do think, again, but Navo was Mo Salah. And Mo Salah's been brilliant defensively. So, you know what I mean? If one of the greatest players in Liverpool's history, you know what I mean, can do both. And that's not, again, I'm not asking you to be Steven Gerrard. I'm not. I'm asking you just to not give the ball away cheaply and make a clever pass. Just like, you know what I mean? Just make simple passes. But then if you
simple, I think not clever. I don't want clever. I want simple.
That's what sometimes clever is simple.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, when it's the clever one, that's the simple one. Because there's a pass that he does, for example. Was that the Leipzig game? That Gakpo shot was at the Chelsea game. It was that Leipzig game, right? Like it's a beautiful pass because everybody's expecting to go out. Yeah. I feel like sometimes he does that too much. Like you're expecting to use the width, like give it to Diaz or give it to Mo or something like that. And he's like, everybody's expecting that. So I'm going to do this. Yeah. And then he's thinking about all the stuff. And by the time he figures out the equation, he loses the ball.
It's game management's poor. I do think that as well as game. I don't think he realizes the time on the clock sometimes. And if someone's on top of you in games and then he gives the ball away. I think there was one against Chelsea where he gave the ball away. But with Chelsea, we're having a good spell in the game. And Liverpool realised that and recognised that, which is, again, I would say one of Slot's strongest points. I think the team recognises now when a team's on top of you and you can just dig in for 15 and you don't need to go hell for leather and concede a goal and you don't need to, you know what I mean? And go, okay, if you want to play this, I think sometimes it's okay to dig in games. It's okay to let the team have possession and go, you're having a moment, we'll have our moments. I think Szoboszlai did give one away and that's what was causing me frustration so much in that Chelsea game. You know, just realise when a team's on top of you. Realise when you just got to keep the ball and win a foul.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. If you win the ball after 60 yards, fucking use your big, massive body, strength, power, hold the ball up, let the fucking defender push it and just go over and just go, right, there's your free kick. It won't take fucking 25, 30 seconds here. Do you know what I mean? I think there's that element as well. And Gini was very good at shielding the ball. But I agree with you. Tomorrow, Sunday, it's massive. It's massive for him.
He's a lot, like physically, he's a lot more gifted than Gini.
Oh, massively. Oh,
like he has the speed. I mean, compared to John and stuff too, he has the top speed.
Yeah, and going back to set pieces as well, we're going to need him defensively. You're a fucking unit of a man.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see you. You know, Arsenal, the best. We already know they're the best at set pieces. You know what I mean? And I want to see you winning some headers. I want to see you fucking, you know, not losing a man. I want to see you being strong and powerful. I just feel like sometimes, someone told me a stat a few years ago, and it's always stuck with me, that Simon Mignolet and Alisson were the same size. My head fell off. Alisson looks 40 pounds.
Are you serious?
Same height. Look. You can't believe
like
that.
Somebody, I think Gordo put it in there that, you know, like +6 goal from the corner kick. I was like, yes, that's Mignolet in a nutshell. Love the dude, but every set piece was like the opponent taking a penalty kick.
Makes himself smaller. Mignolet used to make himself smaller. I'll argue with anyone. If you want to go back and curse yourself for that Gerrard slip, a normal goalkeeper saves it. The bend the bar shot. It's right at him. It's like the Onana shot. Yeah. It's right at him. And I think Alisson saves it, but he makes himself so small. But going back to it, I want to see Szoboszlai act like a 6'4" monster. I want to see him act like that. Bully people. Get in the faces and really get after people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he wins his away. He doesn't. But when he gets the ball, I just feel like just fucking shoulder him off. Do you like Darwin's shoulder challenge? He done 2 or 3 games. Do that.
Yeah,
I've never seen him do that.
Exactly, he can. He has he does not play his size. That's I agree to that.
He makes himself smaller. And that's what, again, the Mignolet Alisson thing always comes to me. I had to Google it. I was like, I don't believe it.
No, dude, I mean, I'll take your word. I'm not gonna use.
Honestly, I think they're both 6'2".
That's crazy.
Honestly, but I wanted to see him size. I want to see him bully players. I want to see him like really take control of a game. You're playing for Liverpool in centre midfield. I want to see him get after someone. So look at Jones. I'm not asking him to put in a performance against Jones against Chelsea, which was just a complete all-round midfield performance.
Yeah.
But Jones is strong. Jones wins the ball back and he has a good turn. He dropped his shoulder a couple of times. You know what I mean? And got away from players. And come on, because I do think, mate, and again, I brag on him and I'm guilty for it. And I'll hold my hands up, I'm guilty for it. Because I just believe in him so much with his attributes. I want him to do well. It's like Darwin. And I rag on Darwin all the time because I just believe in your attributes.
You kind of, I get the feeling that, you're harsher. I am too, like more harsher on the guys who you feel like are not reaching their potential. Like if this is you, like you're like 7 out of 10 player, you give me the 7. Okay, man, good work. You're good. But exactly, if I know you can be 9 and you're just giving me 7, it's like almost like annoying.
For example, when Kostas plays like he did against Leipzig, which was just a standard, really good left back performance, nothing unbelievable. We're like fucking.
Can we bring him like situational subs, like basketball, like possession subs, and like corner kick? Come on in, take a corner. His corners are freaking unreal. That entire game, every single one.
He's pinpoint, I know. And then, so going back to your point, though, mate, of like if you give me a 7, if Kostas gives me a 7, we're going Kostas was unbelievable today.
Yeah,
and he wasn't. He just gave
you know what the bar is. Yeah,
he just gave you the standard good left back performance, which is fine, which is exactly what I want at my team. But when I look at players like Darwin, and that's what the frustration is. I don't want to feel like he's got that, like, I always go back to Ryan Babel, kills me. But it's like, they have all the attributes in the world, don't they, apart from the brain? And you're like, just, well, if Darwin gives me what he just did against Chelsea, mate, there's no question that he starts every single football match for Liverpool. It's up to him. We've seen what you can do now. That was his best performance for Liverpool. And he didn't score, he didn't shoot.
Yeah.
It's his best all-round performance in 2.5 years of being a Liverpool football player. That Darwin Núñez performance, and he didn't take a fucking shot. Maybe that's why.
It was probably the most complete one, right? Like, because he did everything that you want from him. Yeah, you want him to score. See, that's the thing. Everybody's like, oh, you're just going to score. That's the job. I get that, but there is something to be said. We were going back and forth with this with Matush about, who's a huge fan of Jota, as we all know. We were comparing like two. Like, I don't care if you don't score. Like, they say that Galia said this before too. Like, he doesn't do anything all game. He just pops up and scores a goal. I think that's extremely unfair on a player when they're doing a lot of stuff during the game, just because, it's not that visible, but they're creating. I mean, like, nobody's Bobby, but, if you just went by the stats, Bobby didn't do anything either, but he constantly moved. He constantly created space. I mean, I think Jota gives you that more like a striker performance. And I thought that's the first time I've seen Núñez actually do that. And what was really pissing me off was when this was like the Leipzig game. It feels like he gets it. Like there were a couple of situations where he just recycled the ball. He just dropped it and said, we're keeping the ball. Let's try again. This one didn't work. Meanwhile, Trent is over there like bombing past. I was like, dude, if Trent gets it, I mean, if Núñez gets it, I know you have to get it. And that's why I thought that was probably one of the most impressive things about Núñez's game against Leipzig. The fact that he's not forcing things. He feels a bit more, maybe because he knows nobody's going to come in for him. Jota is injured.
Maybe. I just think, what I would say about Darwin, though, is, right, and this is the biggest compliment I can give him, the goal he scores against Leipzig is the most Jota goal he'll ever score.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I want you to be inside the fucking sticks, fella. Sometimes I need you to be when we're attacking.
And attack the ball.
Attack the ball. Attack and take a chance on yourself. And you know what I mean? And he did that. And sometimes you need to have it all to play for Liverpool. Like, this is what I'm saying. And again, I'm his biggest critic. Jeez, look, both 6'4" Mignolet was. But anyway,
I thought he was my size. I saw he played like he was my size.
My head fell off when I heard this stat years ago. My fucking head fell. I was like, there can't be. It's just like, you know what I mean? Alisson just feels like he's so much bigger because he makes himself bigger. But he played to his size. But anyway, I feel like Darwin, mate, again, we're on the back of 2 good performances now. You got your goal against Leipzig. You've won Liverpool in away Champions League game. Really good.
Yep.
Now kick on. Now fucking, because to tell you what, mate, right, in the next 6 games, we're going to fucking need you. Do you know what I mean? So, hopefully.
No, I mean, like I say, things are going well. It's just a matter of I'm not. And dude, you have to bear in mind, it's only end of October. I don't think any of us expected us to be here in this form right now. So you got to kind of like give him that. And maybe that's why I don't have the full confidence in terms of which team is going to show up and what we're going to watch.
Like 4 times. We played well like probably 6 times in the games, 7 times. We played with your goal. Liverpool played so well there today. But Liverpool are winning games. And that's what title winners do. Look at City last week against Wolves.
I don't know. It's because like we don't score a lot that gives that illusion that everything is, I mean, not only the illusion, but everything is kind of like on a fine balance because you're only up by one and stuff like that. So you never have the full confidence. If they finish a couple of those chances they create,
Exactly.
If you win a game 3-0, if Leipzig game is 3-0, most people are walking away from it like, we killed them. Now, like, not everybody says we killed them because the final score was only 1-0.
But yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I mean, that, you know what I mean? Like, the majority does not.
1,000%. People look and go. If you didn't watch the game, people look and go, fucking hell, Liverpool got close there, didn't they? That was a close one. Liverpool got lucky there, you know what I mean? Win 1-0. Go win, but, they got close again. It's only one goal. Yeah, we fucking battered them, didn't touch the ball for 70 minutes. And it's a bit like the Chelsea game. That's why our games are looking a lot tighter, but we are dominating games. You know what I mean? And we are playing.
But I'm saying, like, I think personally, I don't have that confidence level because everything is pretty tight. So you can't be, like, too comfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. I think that's fair. But I do think in the Chelsea game, I never thought to myself that Chelsea would score. When we soon went 2-1, I went, they won't score again. Liverpool just like they stepped it up for 90 seconds, took the lead back, and went.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. How do you want to do this, lads? Do you know what I mean? They had Pedro Neto who was doing little bits and bobs, but it wasn't like anything. Oh my god! But the wins, if you look at the games though, Phil, I can't remember a game that Liverpool won where they didn't deserve to win this year. They might be only by one goal, but I can't remember a game that Liverpool win where you go, they didn't deserve that.
Yeah, I can't remember a lot of games where like, oh, they had no business winning that.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at the fixtures here. I think Liverpool deserves to win every single game. I look at Wolves where we conceded. That's all our own. That's our own doing. That's Canate make a mistake at the back, and I look at Milan. Milan have a great first 20, and then Liverpool just go right. There we go. Stepped it up. Here's the adults, and the adults took over the kids. Kind of deal, that kind of stuff. And I look at all the games, and I think Liverpool deserve to win every single game, including the Forest game probably. And even though we didn't play well against Forest. So, I don't know. I just feel like, But first off, before we finish, I think it's interesting. We talk about Liverpool a lot, guys, but I really want to get into Manchester United. So, for the people who don't know here, for our friends, the Turkish guy here is also a Fenerbahce fan. He has some very close Fenerbahce ties.
Yep.
Tim, how was you feeling yesterday watching Fenerbahce versus Manchester United?
Dude, I don't know what it says that I was telling you right before we went on air. Like, normally, I know I grew up, like I say, like my grandfather over here is like, one of their all-time best players. So I grew up a Fenerbahce fan, like no choice in the family, kind of an ordeal. And 20 years ago, you will look at any Premier League team, especially Manchester United, and you would probably take 9 to 10 of their players for your starting 11. I look at that game yesterday. I don't know, maybe like 4 guys, 5 guys I would take from that team at most, and that's pushing it just because let's see what Rashford does on this team, kind of a deal, right? And not only that, we were talking about this with my brother afterwards, like, who was a United fan, but he was obviously just rooting for like Fenerbahce. And like, I can't remember a time where Fenerbahce ties a team like United at home and it feels like 2 points lost. Like, it really felt like we lost that game, even though it was a draw. Because I thought we were by far the better team. Got robbed of a penalty, I thought. Yeah. And should have really scored more because we were more dominant in a majority of the game and looked the better team. I mean, that first 10, 15 minutes, like before they scored, I don't even think they touched the freaking ball. We had constant, like, dominant possession. I mean, you watch the game as a neutral. Obviously, I'm watching it more biased. I know how neutral you are because I was telling everybody that, everybody on Discord said it was a penalty as well. But I'm like, then again, I don't know how neutral everybody is because everybody's rooting against United. But
yeah, it's a soft one. If you know what I mean. But it's a pen. It's still a pen.
I think if it's Rashford, he gets it.
Yeah, I think. I do think that he is that as well. And again, I've made the joke in the Discord going, I really want Fenerbahce to win just for you, but I also want Ten Hag to stay in a job. So I want Ten Hag to get to I think it's like the middle of November, and then the start of December, I think they play Arsenal and City, and I want that new manager bounce for them, please. Like, I really want. Do you know what I mean? I like, just stay until then. Let them fuck you off after that international break. Get someone half decent in. And then get that new manager bounce for me, please, and go and beat those 2 twice. You know what I mean? So I was like that, but I mean, again, going back to the Premier League, mate, West Ham away on the Sunday. What are you thinking here for United, fella? Because I know
I don't even think, when we do like Tonali's picks on the panel show and like upsets, and I was like, I don't even know if it counts as an upset right now because it's a United. they look so bad, dude. Like that game yesterday, I was like, I can't believe United is this bad as a football team. And you look at that midfield and stuff like that, you're like, you got to be kidding. Basically, they have two wingers. They're like, you guys got to do something because we're not doing anything else, kind of a deal. So they just give it to Garnacho and Rashford. If they do something, they do something. So you shut those wings down. I thought, I mean, you mentioned it before we went on air too, like starting Xerxes. I don't think that dude is a center forward. I don't know what he is. Like, I don't like, did he even play yesterday? Like, he didn't, like, he had the assist, I think, but really he was invisible and he was zero threat. When Højlund came in, I thought that's when our center backs struggled a bit more, at least, because it was so easy to win every single long ball when Xerxes was over there, because I don't think that's his game.
I agree. I think he's number 10. But also, the manager sees Mazraoui as number 10, so who knows? You know what I mean? You know?
There's that.
And by the way, he has coached them before, so he knows his best position. But
and he wins trophies just like Mourinho.
He wins trophies just like Jose Mourinho. They got the same calendar. They have the same trophies.
Dude, like Edip's like my brother. He was like, oh my god, this guy just needs to be slapped. Like his arrogance. Like he hates Ten Hag with a passion, because the dude just goes around like he doesn't realize, so oblivious to facts.
It's like his shit doesn't stink, innit? Like, I can do anything. And it's like, I don't think he realizes how close he is to getting binned every single week. Do you know what I mean? He just does enough just to stay in, which I'm a big fan of when managers do that. It's like Sean Dyche, innit? Just does enough just to stay in. As soon as the fucking door is getting slightly about to drag him out, it's like that famous Al Pacino on Godfather 3. You know what I mean? As soon as out, they pull me back in. And he just wins enough to get pulled back in. And I just love that thing of Ten Hag. I just looked before. If they lose to Brentford last week, they're on the same points as Everton, which I find absolutely Everton are 3 points ahead of them. Everton are playing.
That's crazy.
Everton are playing Fulham at home this weekend, and if Everton win, and it's very possible that United lose to West Ham, they're on the same points after 9 games.
Dude, I think they're like, because nobody would. You would think Fenerbahce is playing United, right? You like look at the standings. Like, Fenerbahce is like 12 or 14 or something right now. They're like 23rd or something on that thing. They only have like 3 points out of 3 games. I think Fenerbahce has 5.
You haven't won a game in Europe? You haven't won a game in the Europa League? That's absolutely... But anyway, going back to this weekend, I feel like with the West Ham game, I do feel like if you couldn't... United are in a position here, mate, and teams get themselves in this position, and something that we should remember, where they turned every game into a banana skin. They turned every single game where you look and go, you look at their 6 fixtures and go, they could lose that, they can lose that, they can lose that. I can see why they can beat them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Apart from Southampton or Ipswich, if you're West Ham, you go, give me 3 teams you want to play at home right now. Ipswich, Southampton, and United. It's like, you're getting to that stage. Do you know what I mean? If you're West Ham, give me someone. Okay, great. We'll have Lucas Paqueta on the ball and just let him do his little thing, because their midfield can't really run unless Mount's playing.
Yes.
And let Bruno, you know what I mean? Bruno's so totally out of form right now, he shouldn't play. And that's the stage you're at. That's the crazy to me. And I do think this could be the season, and I see Ryan's comment there, and I'm with him on West Ham, but I also think I can't put my finger on him a little bit. This is a great game for you. You've had the week off. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You've had the week off, and they've been to fucking Turkey on the Thursday, being ran ragged by Fenerbahce. They might do Højlund. Mazraoui might play a position where he's familiar with. I don't know. And then defensively, they're all over the gaff centre half. I don't think the Litter's as good as enough. That's what people think he is. The keeper. Don't even get me started on that goalkeeper, honestly.
They lost Anthony. I mean, he was at least coming off the bench as a winger, because that's all they can do is run their.
That's a favour, isn't it?
That could be a plus. Addition by subtraction.
You know what I mean? Because you can get a kid on who certainly might do something a bit better for them. But I just look and think to myself, there's positions there and there's more. I never thought I'd say this, but look like they're losing Scott McTominay is kind of crazy for them, because just a bit of energy in midfield sometimes, and a bit of work rate, and a bit because when you do Casemiro and Eriksen, it might be the slowest midfield in the league, probably. And then,
they made Fenerbahce's midfield of Fred, Amrabat. I mean, Szymanski is something. I really think he's probably gone next year. But they made Fenerbahce's midfield look a lot faster. They're not slow, basically. They're not slow, I thought. I mean, when you make Amrabat look pretty pacey, you're slow.
See, are you taking West Ham?
I'm taking West Ham, yes.
So am I think.
Coming off of the Thursday game, like you say, you traveled to Istanbul, and not only that, like Fenerbahce made you work. I mean, we had possession. They were running all over the freaking place.
Really?
So it wasn't like, oh, you went to Istanbul, had a good old time, 1-3-0, came back home, rested, blah, blah, blah. Like, I feel like, we won 1-0. Scoreline doesn't dictate it, but we subbed when we wanted to. We got this guy 30 minutes rest. We got this guy 30 minutes rest. Like, everything went according to plan. Whereas with United, I don't think anything went according to plan. You wore yourself out. You're going to go to West Ham, who's rested at home. And I agree with Ryan. I'm not sure about West Ham either. I don't know, like, that much, like, don't get him that much. But what I do get is United and how bad they are. That's why I'm picking West Ham. Like, I would pick any team. I can't, like, which team would you not pick at home against United this weekend? Southampton, maybe?
Maybe. That's probably the only one. I think it's
right. Like, if you think about it, like, at home going against United this weekend.
Wolves play well at home.
Yeah.
Wolves play right at home. The Wolves and that fucking big unit that they got up front, that Larson kid up front. So
he's good.
He's there's something about that kid, isn't he? And then if you kind of look, listen, mate, if you're the West Ham manager this weekend with your week break and stuff, the first thing you do is say to West Ham is kudos. Make sure you get Martinez booked in the first 10 because you'll probably play him left back. And make sure you get him booked in the first 10.
Because they don't have Kudus, do they?
Not Kudus, sorry. What's his name? The other
I was going to say Kudus is not there.
What's the lad name? Not Kudus.
Antonio?
Bowen, thank you. The first thing you try and do is get him a booking. It's the first thing you want to do, really, and kind of put that pressure on them that way. I'm with you, mate, but I just don't want to get sacked. I want to stay in the job forever.
I mean, here's the thing. I think if it happens, it would happen in the November international break, which is in 3 weeks. Perfect timing. Let's do that. And then get the new guy in who will only last like 5-6 games, and then they'll go back to their regular ways. But before we go, real quick, give me a score prediction for Arsenal game.
Liverpool win 2-0. I do think your Arsenal might have a big first 10, or the fans will try and make it a big first 10, and Liverpool will have none of that. I do think a lot of our games this season have been 35-45, where Liverpool kind of take over and really put the pressure on and score or give them enough to doubt kind of thing. And I do think it could be the same kind of thing. But I just feel like this opportunity doesn't come up often.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. And to play against a team, direct rival, with their best players out and a makeshift defence. I know Liverpool did that a lot last year, but let's get it right. When Liverpool did do it last year, we didn't win the games. Sorry, the other team didn't win the games. And Arsenal can probably look and go, we should have beat Liverpool at Anfield and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think Liverpool win 2-0.
I'm going with a 2-1. Like I say, my biggest fear is the Fenerbahce scenario yesterday, where before the game, maybe a draw would not look so bad like a couple of weeks ago when you look at their calendar and go like, if you get a point from there, you're fine. But now it feels like a loss. If we get a draw, it would feel like almost like a loss just because the opportunity is there. It would feel like you didn't capitalize on opportunity. And City are going to win this weekend. So it's going, Haaland will probably have four.
That Southampton team, mate, I reckon me and you could play it genuinely in centre midfield.
What are you talking? What is that? See, that's insulting. I'll start for United right now.
Me, you, and Bernardo Silva. I think we'll be fine. You know what I mean? Against that Southampton team. But they're finished, aren't they? Southampton. You can't be 2-0 up on them against Leicester and lose. You just can't.
No, when they got to 2-0, I was like, are they bouncing back? I didn't watch the game, but then I was like, yeah, you're never coming back from this, because not only did they win,
by the way,
morally, if they lost 1-0, it wouldn't be as bad. But when you give up from 2-0, you're done.
If you're City, you can kind of think you might get 5. Because the way they play.
It's going to be, I would, if you do fantasy, I don't. Captain Haaland.
Yeah, triple Captain Haaland is this game, isn't it? If you're doing it, triple Captain Haaland could be the game. Because the way they play and they pass out from the back, they do not change their style of play. I think you can swarm them. I really do, and then just pick them off.
Yeah, I have no hope in City winning, so we got to win to stay on top. So let's hope that happens. But tune in for the pre-match on Sunday. We'll be here ready to go. And hopefully for the post-match when we're talking about the 3 points we got. But have an awesome, peaceful Saturday, and we'll see you guys on Sunday. Take care.